So apparently a neo-Nazi has been spared jail provided he reads some English classics, which is one hell of a sentence. Just
I think it's a very interesting way of approaching justice.
yeah, so let's go through this. So
At least it wasn't German classics.
yeah, I suppose there's one solution. Nazi sympathizer spared jail as long as he reads Pride and Prejudice.
I think I'd rather go to jail.
Ben John, 21, will have to return to court every 4 months to be tested on his reading by the judge.
I don't know why I find this so funny.
He's just going to come back and be like, yes, judge, I read this chapter. What happens in this chapter? Oh, this and this and this. Oh, it's very good. Goodbye. Well, that's going to be the court every 4 months.
I just
until
find
he's finished the books.
I haven't like read into this story, but I find it interesting how the judge is like, right, okay, we need to get you out of like the German mindset. You can read English classics? That's how.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of approaching it. Actually,
So the Times writes, a Nazi sympathizer has been told that he can stay out of prison as long as he steers clear of white supremacist literature and reads classic novels such as Pride and Prejudice instead.
now I have some bad news for that judge.
What?
Do you think that Pride and Prejudice isn't white supremacy literature?
According to the left.
Of course it is. Is there a single non-white person in Pride and Prejudice? Probably not.
So there's the question of how the hell did any of this happen? So Ben John, 21, was given a suspended jail sentence, I think, of 12 months, after he was caught with nearly 70,000 white supremacist and neo-Nazi documents and bomb-making instructions.
I can't believe there are 70,000.
Yeah, sounds really bad, but there's a question of how that came about, which is a bit murky. The university student was told by Judge Timothy Spencer that as long as he reads books and plays by Jane Austen, Thomas Hardy, Charles Dickens, and William Shakespeare, he could avoid prison. John received a suspended sentence of 24 months for 2 years at Leicester Crown Court on Tuesday.
Oh, I approve of that, actually. I think that's good. Yeah, you got to force to read the English classics.
So it is against the law for especially Americans who might be wondering to have documents that are, what's the wording, can help you in committing terrorism or something like that, which means nothing. So there's some worrying stuff around all this. Remember, we covered the story before.
Just very quickly, what's the most frequent form of terrorism in Britain?
Islamic. Just like, I think about 95% of all countries on
What
Earth.
document are they using as inspiration for those terror attacks?
Oh, that one's exempt.
Wow.
Because
That's
it's too
convenient.
old.
That's interesting.
But I remember we covered a story like this before in which a guy had some like books about, what was it, knife fighting? Just how do you win in a knife fight, stuff like that. And he was charged and sent to jail for that because that's the criminal books. Even though it was legal to own the books, but because he had owned several books of this kind simultaneously, that was enough for the court to say that he was preparing a terrorist attack, or these documents are useful in preparing a terrorist attack.
Preparing a terrorist attack by learning about knife fighting. Are you sure he didn't just live in London?
That's why I'm correcting myself and saying that they could be useful in declaring a terrorist attack, attempting one.
But they could probably also be useful for surviving London.
That doesn't matter. The law is the law.
Okay.
Because of course it is. The jury voted unanimously to find John guilty of having in his possession a record of information likely to be useful to a person committing or preparing an act of terrorism. That's the wording. Likely to be useful to someone preparing an act of terrorism.
But surely then having a car is useful to someone committing or preparing an act of terrorism.
A cookbook too. I make some sandwiches. before
Eating
you go out.
lunch is useful for terrorism. You know, like there are a lot. That's so vague.
This law is trash. Yeah. So they continue saying here he will have to return to court every 4 months to be tested on reading by the judge after avoiding jail by, quote, the skin of his teeth.
I do think that's hilarious, though.
Judge Spencer made John promise him not to research any more right-wing materials and asked the 20-year-old, have you read Dickens? Austen? Start with Pride and Prejudice and Dickens' Tales of Two Cities. Shakespeare, Twelfth Night.
I like the way he sat there thinking they aren't right-wing materials. I don't agree that Nazis are right-wing. I think they're left-wing. And any left-winger is going to be like, Charles Dickens, Jane Austen, what, this reactionary, hierarchical, traditionalist English literature, that's deeply right-wing.
I do like how English it sounds, though.
Oh, yeah, it's perfect.
Where it's like the judge is just like spiffing off about how his favourite books, and everyone else in the court is just like, is this still the trial?
Is this how justice works now? You know?
But that's the interesting thing about this law, because this law is bad, obviously, and therefore this is a sort of a way around it in which judges can just be like, yeah, okay, we're not sending you to jail for this. Come on.
Yeah.
So we're just going to make you read some other stuff instead.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the judge's solution here, I have to say.
Yeah, he continued to ponder and said, think about Hardy, think about Trollope. On the January 4th, you will tell me what you have read and I will test you on it.
That's fantastic, actually.
So
I do actually enjoy this. Like, it's old English propriety. It's like, I will test you. You can see him like talking down to him, and I will test you on that.
You'll be able to test.
Exactly.
He added, I'll be watching you, Ben John, every step of the way. If you let me down, you know what will happen.
That's fantastic. Honestly, that's really fantastic, because the judge is now becoming a sort of a personable figure. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because the problem I think that we've had for a long time is the kind of depersonalization of the institutions and the positions of authority within the institutions. This feels a lot more homely, and I think that's proper and correct.
It also is, I remember there are a lot of people who've got weird sentences in English legal history. And this is another one that is now going into the history books that we're living through right now.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is because of nonsense laws such as the one mentioned.
But at least traditional English eccentricity can shine through.
Yeah, this is a cultural aspect which solves some things.
But it's right. It works.
So the extremely dangerous neo-Nazi materials that were found on this, John amassed 788 documents in bulk downloads.
Right. So it's not like he'd read them.
No, he couldn't. There's not enough time in the world.
Of course.
So that's the thing. So of the bulk download, which contained a wealth of white supremacist and anti-Semitic material, he was also found to have downloaded the anarchist cookbook onto his hard drive. Leicester Crown Court heard how the criminal and psychological student at Leicester University was caught with thousands of extremely dangerous neo-Nazi and that they had become part of an extreme right-wing online collection. The extreme right wing being a term the police use to determine these things.
Right.
The Rainbow Police of Vice and Virtue, which I really do not trust to understand any of this.
Well, the far left police have decided that Nazis are right wing. And it's like, well, maybe from the perspective of a communist, a Nazi is right wing. But from the perspective of a conservative or a liberal, a Nazi is definitely not a right winger.
National Socialism?
Yeah. Not right wing. Sorry, not buying it.
Yeah. If you want to know more about that, go and check out Tik's video on Hitler's socialism. He's not paying me to say this, so I just think it's a really good video.
No.
So,
and
anyway.
Also, you can sign up to our book club, and we've got various books, such as the one by Zeev Sternhell, talking about fascism and how this is a product of left-wing thought, and you can't come to fascism through liberalism or conservatism.
Yeah. So you want the ideological roots, go to lotusears.com.
Yes, exactly.
Want the de facto of what the Nazis did, check out Tik. But anyway, so that's the thing there, the bulk downloads. So it's not like he went out looking for terrorist manuals or something. He found some bulk download of like banned books or, hate books, some crap like that. He hit download, and that's the crime.
Right.
That's the bit in here which makes me go, I mean, the law is bad at the best of times, but this looks even worse. So police said the term right-wing, extreme right-wing, is used for activists who commit criminal activity motivated by racism, extreme nationalism, fascism, or neo-Nazism.
All left-wing positions, what do you want?
I mean, extreme nationalism, maybe? The rest of them, I definitely say left-wing.
Well, nationalism is still a product of the Enlightenment, so...
You can be a nationalism for communists.
Yeah, not even. Yeah, I mean you can, according to Orwell's formulation, but it's still an ideological construct that is projecting into the future and striving for power for an abstract thing. It's not actually something like concrete and conservative.
You're not reflecting on the past.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Or
Anyway.
what actually exists either.
So Detective Inspector James Manning of Counterterrorism Policing East Midlands said, quote, "This was a young man who could be anyone's son studying at university and living one life in public while conducting another in private. The terrorist material he was found in possession of is extremely dangerous, and he acquired this to further his ideology. The judge said that this was John's last chance and commended the investigating team for their work. In the UK, it is illegal to knowingly possess material that could assist in terror-related activities under Section 58 of the Terrorism Act." Yeah. The
Communist Manifesto?
No, that one's exempt.
Because there are communist terrorists?
Because that's the thing, actually. The doesn't really define. There's no banned books list, and I tried to find it because I assumed there would be if there's laws to make any sense. And in the UK, there's not. It's just that law, and then it's up to the court to decide if the books you owned were useful in committing terrorism. So, I mean, technically, the Quran could be on there. We're just waiting for the case in which the judge is just like, yeah, sure.
So I look forward to the ramifications of that one.
Yeah. So if we there's some other surrounding information that I had to douse together from a couple of other articles. So this first one, there's a section with The Guardian here that alludes to the fact that we are dealing with a man who admires Hitler by the looks of it, or so on and so forth. They said later on this, but that's not actually in this quote I wanted to use. But this quote here: the court heard that John came to the attention of counterterrorism officers in 2018 after he wrote a letter entitled "Eternal Front," claiming to be part of Lincolnshire's fascist underground.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh because it's all very it just sounds underground. Stupid.
It's such an autist situation.
The Lincolnshire fascist underground. That's embarrassing.
4 guys in their WhatsApp group.
Just so stupid.
So apparently, Eternal Front was a letter. They don't tell us what's in it. I can't find what's in it online because, of course, you can't. Very accountable there from the journalists. But they say it was a tirade against gay people, immigrants, and led to a more intensive investigation by Prevent and psychiatric evaluation, which then they determined it wasn't worth investigating as a crime, and they dropped it.
So this guy is extremely online, is what they're telling us.
Yeah. If we go to the next one, we can find out more about that bulk download. The court heard that John had downloaded 67,000 files on various topics on the internet. He claimed 9,000 on another occasion. In 2019, which the prosecution claimed included 7 manuals which were illegal to possess. So of those about 70,000 documents, 7 were illegal to possess.
I mean, we don't even know if he even knew they were on there. But I mean, since he apparently had neo-Nazi and fascist sympathies, I guess it's fair to assume that that's what he was looking for.
Well, that's the thing. He gave a defense in court which wasn't cared for because he was found guilty, which is that he was fascinated by online right-wing material and that he had downloaded all of these because he was just interested, which is possible, but that's not the crime.
I mean, that is actually, if I were to download and read these things, that would actually be my reason.
But I don't find it believable that he has nothing to do with this, given his previous actions. But
anyone who's part of the Lincolnshire fascist underground is definitely a suspect.
But either way, that's not a crime. The crime bit is the owning of the 7 manuals, which are criminal. So they say in here, it related to one manual, a 241-paged PDF document on, quote, general anarchy and criminal activity. That's the name of the book. Illegal to own in the UK.
Sounds left-wing to me.
No, it's legal to own in the US, but not here.
Yeah, but like, seriously, I went to Bristol recently, and driving in, we just saw written on, spray painted on the side of one of the buildings, you know, it's okay to commit mild crime. It's like, no, it's not. It's just not, you know. And this whole like, you know, be gay, do crimes meme of the left, and it's like
it's not a right wing meme.
No, it's not a right wing meme. You know, it's all very left wing, and it's all total nonsense. It's not okay to just commit crimes for the sake of it. Just, like, to be clear,
I imagine a right wing version like respect God, do crime. That doesn't make sense.
No, exactly. Exactly. It'd be like go to school, make your bed, tidy your room. You know.
So yeah, not right wing, the illegal part of this, but also that it's a book on anarchy. And that's now banned. It wasn't banned before this court case, but now, because of this court case, it's now illegal to own that book in the UK.
Oh, okay.
That's how the law works here.
Well, I hope I don't have a copy of that book.
Which is, yeah, I know, but it's just a bloody mad situation in which it's just like, right, until the court case, then that book's banned. It's not Parliament banning these things, it's just random court cases, which they decide them, apparently.
Yes, so, well, welcome to the system of precedent.
Yeah. Although it was not suggested John was going to use this information, it is simply illegal to possess it. That's the crime. Yeah. He said that he had not viewed the documents and was unaware that they were among his prolific collection of lawful research files on a vast range of subjects. He said it would have taken a lifetime to read all the material in his possession. So this is his defense that, well, he was just downloading for research. Big F on that one personally. But the idea that the random illegal texts on anarchism in there justify him being a criminal.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, that's actually a fairly plausible defense, even from within the context of his own political activities.
Yeah.
If you're a fascist, you aren't an anarchist. The fascism, for anyone who doesn't know, being the totalizing doctrine of the state, which essentially elevates the state to being the god of all of the nation, and anarchy being an explicitly anti-state ideology. So it's hard to believe that he was combining the two.
He's an anarchist fascist.
Yeah.
That's the claim when you get down into it.
Yeah.
So and his crime is downloading a bulk possession of hate books or something. And then in there was some random anarchist stuff. And that's now a crime. It wasn't a crime at the time it downloaded by the way the law works, apparently. It's just as soon as it went to court and the court decided, yeah, okay, whatever, you could use that for terrorism, then those books were banned.
Yeah. Now get reading Shakespeare.
Yeah. That's the story. I can't get over how absurd this all is. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to prelotuseaters.com and get access to all our premium content.
Things like our book club, where we examine classics like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and examine the themes that underpin it, and how we're getting worryingly close to that, or modern books like Mark Sidwell's The Long March, which is how exactly we ended up in the current cultural situation we're in and what conservatives can do about it. Or you can check out the other series we have, such as our Contemplation series, where Hugo and Josh decided to, in the latest one, have a look at an examination on the ways that other elections have been rigged for no reason at all. Or you can check out our Epoch series, which is one of my personal favorites because this is where I get to talk about history. And I love talking about just random things from history. And one of the great things we can do with this series is talk about those things that aren't so often discussed. So, I mean, you can talk about Xerxes' army, the vast army that invaded Greece during the Greco-Persian Wars. Or we can go through things like Herodotus's view on the Scythians. Who are they? You probably don't know, but they used to be quite an important people a long time ago, and they're very, very interesting. We've got some really good reports about them. Or we've got premium podcasts, which is things we generally don't want to put outside of the paywall because we might get in trouble from them, such as the list of things that Alex Jones was right about. Or we do just very interesting discussions because there are things that we do lots of work on. Another one is that I'm particularly proud of is where Christopher Hitchens, the famous new atheist, would have fallen during the modern culture wars, because he probably wouldn't have been very woke. But we also have lots of interviews and articles and other things on the website that you can sign up to enjoy, and we're really proud of them.
So if any of that sounds good to you, go over to lotuseaters.com and sign up for as little as £5 a month to support us keep the show going, and also to get access to all the content. Thank you and goodbye.